see. Okay. It's not giving me a live count here, so I don't know if there's anyone on. Because I'm doing multiple streams at once. So, yeah. So, okay, we're on. And Shane Quick's first one in. Spotlight Artist. Yeah, all right, so the guy's coming in. So this time I won't be able to see it on mine. Okay.
Ed Williamson.
All right.
Can you see the comments over there?
Happy New Year's Eve, guys. No, I cannot see comments here. So,
They're saying hello.
hi everyone. Just getting things started. It's my first live feed in a while. Thank you for everyone checking in.
I'm gonna post the links now.
Make sure the volume is off on my computer. My daughter's going to post up some links for everyone. I'm going to see if I can get comments rolling. I won't be able to read them. I don't think. Yeah. All right. So for those of you who have been watching, this is the panel I did the time lapse on. The time lapse was the border, this kind of panel art design with the Stormtrooper Imperial kind of background going on. So what I did here is this is the white panel that I prepped and scuffed. This is all done with FBS blue tape, rolled it all in, masked off each panel, did different colors of base and metallics and things like that. This was all done in Createx over the white panel itself. Just people checking in.
Got 12 people.
Good. All right. So what I've already done here. Happy New Year's Eve, guys. Hope everyone has a great night tomorrow night. So what I've done to make it easier for you guys to see is I've already peeled this mask. This is the reference we're going to be. This is the reference we're going to be working from. And this was the panel that Rhino and I did in our Airbrush Rendezvous class a few years back. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. We did the Jedi and the Imperial symbols, red and blue. We did the lightsaber green in the middle, and we did the Stormtrooper face here. So I figured I'd bring it back. I was doing this panel for my class at the vocational school last week, and I had this on my mind because I just happened to, Star Wars is coming up, so I was looking at Star Wars stuff. So I decided to integrate this pattern into it. In hindsight, I wish I did this on a Lumalore panel and had this panel lighting and glowing, but I did not. So I'm going to get things rolling. Any questions before I get rolling here?
Chris Martin said what's up.
Hey, what's up, Chris? Okay, so what I did is I have the mask here. The blue mask is on. All my actual detail work is already cut. I don't know if we can see here. See the red lines in the in this. That's what's been cut out of the machine, and it registers up with the printout. This is how I do a mix of plotter and paper cut, so I'm not relying on the plotter for every little shade and detail, making it too crisp and hard. I just do the basic shapes, and so basically they can be used as loose templates like we're going to do here. So instead of masking this whole thing out just for what's really equates to 2 seconds of masking, I just don't want to get the black to the very edge. I'm just going to use the paper, and I can just kind of hold it down like this with a piece of tape. Piece of tape. And these sections are mainly just going to be black. So what I have here is I have Createx opaque, illustration black. I didn't do opaque black because I still want some tonal control. I don't want it to go, too black too fast. But all in all, it's going to be pretty much a solid black in these areas. So I'm going to start with near the edge. And I'm going to leave just ever so slight. There's a little bit of white on the very edge, almost like a secondary light. So I got this mix pretty thick, so I can get a solid black line here. I kept it pretty thick because I'm not going to be freehanding with this color. This is mainly just for fill. That's why it looks a little grainy. I didn't really reduce it much. Just enough to kick it over. So it's got a little bit of the 40-30 in it, and just a little bit of reducer. Like I said, I can reduce a little bit more. For these guys here, same thing. It's just solid black lines. And me and Rhino were talking, because I showed him that I was bringing this one back for this, and maybe when we get to the next rendezvous in 2020, me and him maybe we'll do a Mandalorian mask, since that's a little bit more current right now. I think that would look cool. And I'm going to reduce this a little bit more. I'm also streaming on my YouTube channel. This is the first time I'm live streaming on that for anyone who's watching. I can't monitor both comments. My daughter's monitoring the comments for me, so I will check back in on those later and answer any questions on that. But if you guys haven't followed me on YouTube, definitely go over and subscribe. I'm going to be doing a lot more in 2020 on YouTube than I do on Facebook. I have some plans that I really want to implement next year, so definitely get over to the YouTube channel, because that's where a lot of the newer stuff's going to be happening, because I can do a lot more over there than I can on Facebook. So make sure you go over to the ThinAirGraFx YouTube channel and subscribe. This is the easy stuff. I'm just filling stuff in, and I'm not going super dark on these. Okay, that's it. Easy, done. See, if you look really close, it's kind of hard to see, but there's just a little bit of white on this edge. But when I pull off the mask, it won't look like that. So I'm going to do the eye sockets here. These are just like the rims around the eyes.
Jane Quick said, I'm hoping it's the plans you were talking about when they were in Michigan.
Yes, so I am planning, what I'm planning for 2020, which is why I want you guys to subscribe over to the ThinAirGraFx YouTube channel, because that's going to be a part of it. I'm going to start doing, I want to start doing monthly classes, probably in the second quarter of the year. It's going to be subscription based, and we want to do live Q&A. So you'll be able to come in live, you register ahead of time, sign up, you'll get the project files ahead of time, and we'll work everything from there. So it's a follow along, single part, multi-part projects. So they're going to be different each month, and as I get closer to it, I will let you guys all know a bit more detail about each one.
Brushstrokes, Airbrush and Design said, glad to hear you'll be doing more here on YouTube. Love your work. God and love your plotter DVD game changer.
Oh, thank you, man. Yeah. Yep. That plotter DVD is a couple years old now, but it still holds up really, really well. For those of you who don't have it, this was done actually with Airbrush Action when I was working with them back in the day. This plotter mastery DVD, it covers almost everything I use in projects like this, how I integrate paper and plotter and freehand and everything mixed into one. It's still really relevant. It's available at my store, my McKay Fine Art store. And yeah, I still have copies left. And they're not producing these anymore because Airbrush Action is gone. So, when these go, they're gone. All right. So again, in here, these are just going to go solid black too. This is probably one of the only projects in recent years that we've done that actually uses pretty much solid black. Everything else is tones. not really worried about the overspray getting on the outside of him because that's just going to create a drop shadow for me. The only place I'm trying to keep it soft is around that rim of the eye so it doesn't go, you know, full coverage. So you can still see a little delineation between the two. It's really hard to see on camera, but you can make out the difference between the black on the outside and the in. I'll be able to highlight that a little bit. Cool. That was the easy part. Everything else, I'm just going to keep pulling the mask. You know, like in my workshops at the Airbrush Art Circus and at the Rendezvous, whenever I use plotter masks, I try to use it in such a way that I'm never reapplying the mask. It's usually a paint and then remove, and a paint and then remove. So you don't have to worry about, you know, the registration being off. Because that's the worst part about when you're doing multiple layers of masking, is you layer one top of another and they're not set up exactly right, and they get a little off track and things look funny, or they just look off. So I try not to set up files where I have to register masking on top of another one, like right on the same line. I try to keep them separate. And this way, this is a good reason to do, you know, the paper cut technique mixed with the plotter, because you can keep your plot files very simple and easy and clean, and then you get more complex later. And the nice thing is when you're done, it doesn't look all plotted and too hard edged and too stickery.
Shane Quick says, how's that paint by number dragon kit coming along?
Paint by number dragon kit. I have not touched that, Shane. For those who are asking what Shane's talking about, that would be a good one, Shane, to redo. So yeah, this was the piece we did at the last San Antonio Airbrush Art Circus, and it was set up in such a way it was pretty much paint by number. Like you peeled off number one, painted it, number two, painted it, and worked your way around the whole piece for this piece. So this maybe will be a good one for my YouTube channel.
Oh, Spotlight Artistry asks, what airbrush are you using for this project?
I'm using multiple. What I just used there was my custom CH. And when I'm going in for the next stage, I'm using one of my microns. And it's not for the reason, you know, I'm doing super fine detail. It's just what I decide to use. This project can be done easily with any airbrush, you know, right down to a Neo or just a regular Eclipse, which, you know, the regular Eclipse I use probably more than anything else.
The YouTube channel is the most, like, close to the current times. The other ones are pretty behind.
Okay.
So the YouTube channel is the least behind on the live stream.
Okay.
Oh, Amber Stanley asks, what projects are you planning to do in the Orlando Circus?
The Orlando Circus, I haven't really worked on that yet. You know, probably after the first year, I'll start planning that. We have a couple different ideas we're tossing around. So, but if people have suggestions I'd like to see if they're coming to the class, then I'm always up for hearing it. Because I try to make the class for the people coming, not for me. So after I pull the mask, I'm going to give it a little wipe down. Sometimes when you remove vinyl mask, it doesn't leave glue behind, this stuff, but you get surface tension from the mask being down sometimes, especially if your panel is outgassing at all. So, oops, I got a little goop on that one. So when you're using water-based, you want to use a solvent wax and grease remover, and vice versa. Because if you use solvent on solvent, it reacts it. If you use water-based on water-based, it reacts it. So I'm just using House Color KC10, which is their solvent-based wax and grease remover. And I'm just doing that to get any type of marks or any residue that might get left behind. So there you go, it's done. Kidding. But, that's as far as, a stencil would take you. So what we've done, zoom out a little bit, using this reference, I've actually cut the shapes of pieces that line up with the design. So basically making my own soft stencil. I could have went in and made plot edges for all this, but then I'm going to have super hard edges, and I don't want that. I don't want the edges to be really hard, because if you look at the reference, they're not hard edges, they're kind of soft edges. And if you had a plotted mask, it's going to be too hard. So all I'm going to do is just going to position it. And I'm just going to look at my photo reference. And I'm just going to softly put that in. Now I'm using kind of like a bluish tone here, like a blue-black almost. Turn my hair up a little bit. So now I get that nice soft edge there as opposed to a really hard edge. I can also come with this one. Now I can do the opposite. I can line that up there. And I can come down just off that edge. I'm going soft here from the top down. And I've mixed this paint with just reducer and a touch of 40-30 because I still want the erasability for these highlight edges. So I'm not going to use white. So I want to be able to go in and I want to be able to scratch the paint away, for these bright highlights. Let me sharpen this up. Give me 1 second. Here, now we can come down and we can do these. It gives you a much more natural highlight than using white. And I can go in with white later if I want and soften it up. Now, if you put too much 40-30 in, you won't be able to erase like this. It'll be a lot harder to erase. So you want to keep the 40-30 out of it if you're going to be doing erasing techniques. Okay. Go back to the other side here. So yeah, we went and saw the new Star Wars the other night. Loved it. So that sparked me wanting to do this, obviously.
George Golden asks, what's the dates for San Antonio?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. We'll have to try to look that up before the end of this. Or if someone can pull that up on the Airbrush Art Circus page, I would appreciate it. Go and do these eyes. I'm going to add a little bit more black into these eyes at the end, but I want them to kind of give a reflection. So we'll use the old, big freehand shield. See, little things like that, a little edge, as opposed to doing it without an edge, just softens that up and gives it a nice look. Then you come in and freehand around it. So see, there's that little bit of shading starts to really wake this up. And that blue tone, you know, it's better than using straight black. The actual, if you look at the actual photo we're going by, let me zoom over here a little bit. You know, you can see it's almost like a purplish tone. And I might throw a little black candy in the end and kind of tone it to that color, but I'm not going to do that just yet. All right, let's head down towards the bottom.
Jeff Simon said the circus has Orlando on May 6th through 10th. I don't see San Antonio.
Oh no, we don't have one. Oh, I'm sorry. If someone asked for San Antonio, we don't have one scheduled at San Antonio. After the last one, and everyone there can attest to it, the hotel wasn't really taking care of us too well on the location and the rooms and stuff, and they kind of flipped the script on us, which wasn't very good. So we are looking for different hotels there. So for right now, we're going to do Orlando, and then we're going to do most likely Phoenix again. I think Phoenix might actually be scheduled again. I'm not sure. So we might have to hold off on Texas for another year. But you know, Rob and everyone who handles that will keep everyone posted. Okay. So see, now I'm just using the other half of this template. I'm going to come down here in the bottom. And I'm not trying to go full color here. Sometimes I'm not even spraying directly at, you know, the edge. I'm just spraying below it, and then I can do the rest freehand. So same thing here, I just want to get this kind of underneath to create that dimension on that side. I'm going to create the same dimension on this side here. And then I'm going to come up here underneath the visor. I'm just going to go straight across and give it a little edge.
George Weldon said need to do one in Colorado.
Colorado, look man, we will, you know, the art circus will do one anywhere. The key comes to getting enough people in that area to come to it, and especially when you do the hotels. The hotels are so expensive, and it's expensive to get everything there. So if you can get enough people in an event hall with enough access through air flights, then it's definitely possible. You know, Colorado is an easy one for flights because it's such a major hub that I don't think we'd have an issue with getting good flight deals and things like that. It's just a matter of getting all the people to do it. So we're open to it, and Rob's open to it. If you want to help facilitate it, I'm sure he'll be glad to talk to you about it. And you guys, between you and Mike Learn's already out there, and you know the area. So if you got ideas, it is definitely, we're definitely willing to do it anywhere. See how that little subtle thing just happened? See that little subtle shading just happened? Right there. Happy little shading. Good, now I can come up here freehand. This was a fun project to do when we did it in class, when me and Rhino did it. I think everyone who did the project really enjoyed it. I know we enjoyed teaching it, because Rhino and I are both, you know, kind of Star Wars geeks. And I think the reason why we did it that particular time was I think the class either started or ended right around May the 4th. Which, May the 4th be with you, if you don't get that joke. So see, if I had used a hard stencil here, I would never get this nice soft flip. You know, this nice soft transition. Now, if I used the plotter there and peeled it away, I'd have this really hard edge, which I don't want. You know, for the highlights, I'm just going to come right here. And if I don't like it, it needs a little bit more contrast. A little darker under here. So when I get under here, and these guys, just going to go on the tops of these. You know, for those of you who haven't seen it, if you go back in my page to last week, you'll see the whole time lapse on how we did this whole background, or how I did the whole background. The room's pretty quiet tonight. What are we looking here? So I will stay mainly on just mine. Are people asking questions on the YouTube side too? I don't think it's turned. I don't think I have the chat turned on there.
No, it's on.
Okay, it is on. So yeah, I'm gonna do this color. Then I'm gonna purple it up a little bit just to give it the same tone as the original.
Shane says he has to go sand the car, but he'll check this out later.
Cool, man. Get sanding. Go make some money.
Wasco says hi, Happy New Year.
Hey, what's happening, Wes? Now, I will say, if you're using even a solvent-based reducer, if you rub hard enough, it will take paint off. So, you know, that doesn't matter if you're using solvent House of Color, unsolvent, or whatever. You know, when you're doing this light of airbrushing, when you do any type of prep cleaning afterwards, you want to make sure you keep it light, because it will remove some material if you're not careful. Okay, so what I need to do to get the other mask, this guy, because it needs to be really dark underneath this edge. Cool. And then this side is going to flip the other way.
Brushstrokes, Airbrush and Design asks, did you tape out or plot out the background?
No, so it's taped out. So I did not plot it. Plotting designs like this are cool if you've already designed it once. But I find trying to design these types of pattern works, they get way more organic if you do it with tape. And then if you're gonna mass produce a project, yeah, you could definitely, you know, plot it out. But I just used 1/8 inch blue fine line. I masked off one side, I designed one side, mirrored it with the pounce pattern trick to this side, and then painted each section. And this was already masked first, so what I did is I had the cutout of him applied first, and then I did the tape out around it. If that makes sense. definitely need to start doing some more of these, as my tech is getting a little long in the tooth, so it's time for some upgrades. So I think sometime next week we're going to do a first of year clear out. I think it's time to auction off and sell off a bunch of panels that I've done in the past, including ones like this. I need to get a new iPad Pro because I don't have one, and I need to get a new computer because realizing today that mine is a mid-year 2012 Mac. It's starting to get a little tough to do what I want to do. So, time for some upgrades. See, I'm just slowly working the shading in. I'm not forcing it. I'm not pushing it around too fast. Just getting those nice little edges. And clear, this is going to look really cool. This is a silver sealer, like a gunmetal sealer I did, so it's metallic with everything on top of it, so it's going to have a lot of nice sparkle to it. Yeah, see the first one we did the red tones glowing and the blue tones glowing. This one's a little bit different. Same process. Like a nice little edge going up here. What I'm doing, I'm going to hold my stencil above so it creates a soft edge. If I put it right down, it's going to be a hard edge. I'm going to hold it up a little bit in a way so it creates a softer edge.
Strokes Airbrush Design asks, what colors did you use on the background?
This background was a white panel. I mixed up the silver sealer and a little bit of black sealer to make like a dark gray, like a gunmetal silver. And I washed the whole panel with that after everything was masked off. And then what I started doing, so in here was pretty much a black metallic on top. On these ones here, I used silver in here. In this one here was like, this was the Imperial TIE Fighter blue that I mixed up that I used for some of the models. So it's like a blue non-metallic. And then just toned everything in with just different grays and shaded it. But it started as a gunmetal color. And what I'm making sure I'm going to do is I'm making sure I'm hitting all this here so I can do the edges. And I wanted to use that blue because I wanted to get it to pop off this background. So now, for these really hard edges, I can come in with this hard eraser and just get it. Right down the bottom here. And just pick away. Right here, we'll pop up this highlight. And you'll see that just gives it that nice three-dimensional hit. This is something that's really big in Drew Blair's class, which is where, I started learning it from watching Corey St. Clair and Drew Blair's clinics and workshops and how they use the scratch boarding and the erasing techniques to pull off all that shading, as opposed to trying to use white. Because white, when it goes over these colors, gives it kind of a bluish cast a lot of times. It just looks unnatural. So by going with this and using the white background, you don't get that. You get a much more natural shade. Now, the other thing you could do is you could just use a paper towel by itself, and you can almost just burnish it down to a color, or with the waxing grease remover.
Another question.
Yep.
Is that an aluminum panel?
Yep. So this is a like they're called Plasticore basically, or Alumicore, or whatever brand you get. It's a PVC plastic core on the side. It's aluminum skin on both sides of it. So the nice thing, I use these most of the time because they're a lot lighter. They're more expensive than the metal, the straight metal panels, but they don't bend corners. They ship a lot easier. They're lighter, and so it is a metal PVC core panel. And when this is done, this will get cleared and, you know, ready to ship out to whoever wants it.
Joshua says, awesome work as always. Or Joshua Sweeney.
Thanks, Josh.
Awesome work as always. Happy New Year's to you and your family.
Thank you to you as well. One of the best photographers in the world, Josh Sweeney. You get the best shots of cars, man. So if you haven't checked out Shooting for Details with Josh Sweeney, man, check out his work. It's phenomenal photography. See that nice little soft highlight there, just with the eraser. Now it doesn't look like a really super hard edge, as opposed to if I taped it out with white and did it with white. Sharpen this up. So these little sticks, this is one of Drew Blair's that he had. These are a really hard eraser pencil, and I don't think you can get many of these anymore. I think he's out of them. Well, last time I checked he was, unless he got a new stock. These are old eraser, but these are great because you can really scratch in soft, subtle detail like that. Now those look like they're catching light. If you really got to push out something, what you can do is you can actually, I've done this carefully, you soak this in a little reducer and you can really pull off a lot of stuff. But you got to be careful because it'll take off a lot if you're not careful. It just looks like a much better highlight. As opposed to doing white. Like I said, I can go back in. I have white mixed up. And go back in maybe and run a couple little white highlights and stuff with the airbrush. Cool. Everything's still in frame. Yeah, everything's still in frame. Sorry for that noise. Oh, nails on a chalkboard feel. coming together quite nicely. The one thing I remember when me and Rhino did this one class is, you know, how quickly this came together. So what I'm doing here, I'm just taking it and I'm really rubbing hard. And I'll be taking a little bit of paint off so it'll create a softer highlight. Darken these guys up. I'm going to start adding just some subtle reflection changes. Slowly darken these out and build the tone from left to right versus trying to get in there and like blast this whole big area. I think the biggest mistake newcomers make, and people just starting out, is, you know, they're watching the videos online and it looks like people are jamming colors in really fast, and I used to do the same thing. And once I got a little bit more seasoned and started working with people and noticing everyone's really building colors softly first. You know, unless you're doing t-shirts. Like when I did t-shirts back in the day in the malls around here in Boston, they were quick, man. We were, you know, you'd ram in black, ram in the color, a little shading, you know, put the name, 2 colors on there, and you're out the door.
Sarah Tilbrook says Happy New Year's. Appreciate the time you take for us all out here.
Oh, thanks, man. Happy New Year to you. I appreciate it. You know, I do this because I get good feedback from you guys and people like it, and, you know, some of you guys will buy my videos and buy my stuff, and that helps, you know, things to keep going as well. So, but I just enjoy doing it, and I enjoy kind of touching base with all you guys. You know, especially whereas I work alone here, you know, so it's nice to kind of check in with people from time to time when you work alone in a studio all day and you don't see people. You tend to go a little stir crazy and you forget people are out there sometimes. That's looking pretty cool, if I do say so myself. I want to give a little bit of softer blue cast to it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump this out, pre-mix these.
Caleb Meyer says, I would love to go to the Titans/Pats game. I've never been to Massachusetts.
Oh, yeah, you know, I have never been to a Pats game myself. And the Patriots, Patriots are the only team I haven't done a major work for. So I've done work for the Red Sox, I've done work for the Bruins, the Celtics, and I've never done anything for them. So maybe someday. But yeah, that'd be cool. I'd love to go to a game as well. Alright, so what I've done now is I've switched to black candy. And we got to notice this will start to tone things even more. And the candies run a lot softer.
Todd Serson
Okay.
says, are you using an eraser or to texture this one up?
Yes, so all the white highlighting here, all this here, I've been using one of these Faber-Castell eraser sticks to just go in and do like the highlights like this right here, as opposed to using white, which I might go back in with white at the end, but right now I'm keeping it very soft and subtle with this erasing. So see how that black candy just totally changed that tone? So it got rid of the blue, but it didn't, because it's black candy, it has a purplish cast. It doesn't wash it out to black. If I used to use straight black over this, it would go instant t-shirt style. It would just start being really dark. Yep.
I'm probably butchering his name, but Bard Eric Dahlstrom, Happy New Year from Norway.
Oh, thanks, man. Norway, man, that's someplace I would love to go. And me and my wife and daughter have been talking a lot about travel lately and places we want to go, and that's definitely somewhere I'd love to see it.
There's a lot of countries you want to go to.
Yes, a lot of countries you want to go to.
There's too many to go to easily.
Yes. Someday.
Someday, hopefully, yeah.
There we go. I want to get that little edge up here, so I'm just going to take this, I'm going to move it over. Yeah, create a nice soft edge. Bring this down, same thing. Now it gets that nice little highlight on the edge, and I'll soften that up too. Like all these paintings I do online, these are always available for bids and purchase. This one's pretty extensive, so I probably wouldn't let it go for less than, say, like $300 starting. If anyone wants to throw a bid in, yeah, we will start it.
Okay, yeah, then.
You know, like I said, the lowest I would go on this is 300 because it's a 12 by 18 panel with a lot of prep work in it, and then. And obviously it'll be cleared and polished. And this will officially be the last painting I do in 2019. Because I am not working tomorrow. I am, but I'm not going to be completing a painting tomorrow. I got a bunch of bikes to go and work on. I always liked this Stormtrooper mask. This one was pretty cool. Now this has got a little white in it. Gotta make sure it's working good. They got a little too much reducer on that one. Started to do a little blowout. We saved it. Good to go. I'm not digging the white airbrush. I'm only going to stick with the erasing on this one. Sorry for blocking the camera. You know, this is the big benefit to using the water base too, is it stays, you know, workable for so long. If you don't add the 40/30 or too much of it in there. When we did this one, this original one, this was done in House of Color. This is being done in Createx, and you can see they're, you know, same tone, same look, but I don't have to be as aggressive with the eraser here to get the effect I want. Now if I add the 40/30 from Createx into the color a lot, then it's going to be, you know, much more difficult to erase, because it makes it a much harder paint. That's getting there. I think I want to bring in some of this bluish tone, the black candy tone, into these colors and maybe into the drop shadow a little bit more. Yeah, when this is cleared, it's going to look really sweet. Yeah. Pretty cool. What do you got going on here?
Nothing. It's like
Everyone's
dead.
pretty quiet.
There's like there's 9 people at most.
Yeah, it's Monday night.
That's true.
Night before New
It
Year's
is
Eve.
a Monday. It's not really.
And I definitely know no one's going to be around tomorrow.
Yeah.
So. People can go in and rewatch this. If anyone's interested in the piece itself, you can private message me. I didn't think this was going to be a good time to actually give up a painting, because everyone's...
Oh, Pecan asks, is the base color of white cleared so you can erase on?
It's the actual base color of the panel itself, so yes, it's the panel is a white panel, so they're E-coated. So yeah, normally if I was painting the base myself, yeah, I would put the white down and then I would clear it and sand it. I've also found with the Createx, if you use a white sealer.
The lights are kind of like, you get to see the detail too well.
You know what? I think I forgot to shut that off.
Like,
oh, when I zoom out.
No, it's when it's zoomed in too, but without that light on.
Let's see.
Without that light on, it's better.
Oh, okay, I forgot. I should have shut that light off.
Cause like that's it with and that's it without.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now you can really see it better. Sorry for that, guys. I had this light. I had this light on above, and when I found this light actually makes the Mevo camera flicker a little bit, and it was kind of blinding. So I apologize. So now it might be easier for you to see some of the stuff I'm doing. And I'm going to just wrap this up pretty soon. Get a quick little painting for New Year's Eve. probably about as far as I'm going to take this. What time we got? Just about an hour? It's almost 8 o'clock.
We've been streaming for
just about an hour.
56 minutes.
Yep. His eyes a little blacker. And I think...
Oh, James Collar arrived late. Is this being auctioned off?
Yes, like everything they auctioned, no one put a bid on it. It's going to be a starting bid of $300 minimum because of all the work that went into it. It'll be cleared and polished as well.
Commenting because this is behind this.
You know, I thought...
Spotlight artistry. Do you use 5620 gloss clear on the panels?
I don't know what 5620 is.
5620.
Yeah, I'm not sure whose brand that is. I'll end up using House of Color Clear on this. The UC21 and then probably the USC01 Show Clear to polish on top of. If I'm going flat clear, I'm going to use the Createch Scenics for the flat and matte clears.
The cameras are shaking randomly in the middle.
Oh, because I turned the brightness up a little bit.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, when you clear coat this, what will you do the prep? When you clear coat this, what will you do the artwork for the clear coat?
Oh, so what I'll do on this one is I'm just going to tack rag it off. I'll probably use a Mile Wax and Grease Remover. In this case, KC10. I'll give it a mild wipe down, tack it, and then the first coat of clear I'll put on, first 2 coats I'll put on rather light, you know, probably medium wet, and then I'll go heavier on the last 2 coats. And because this has all the edging here, all this edge is going to be pretty high. Not super high, but high enough where I'm going to clear it, I'll sand it with 600, and then the next day I'll clear it again with probably 2 coats of clear, then I'll buff it. You know, that's how you get to, you know, this stage where it's super flat, there's no edge.
Ian Hart said another killer job.
Thank you, sir. Now that went a little quicker than I thought it was gonna. About an hour to do that piece. Just over an hour. I want to
58 minutes.
I'm gonna zoom the camera around here a little bit.
It started 56 minutes ago on YouTube.
So you can kind of see, you can see the reference. And you can see mine. And this is something, you know, I'll go in and I'll pick, even after this, I'll go in and pick away at it. And sometimes what I'll do is after I clear these, if I see anything I don't like, or if I don't like any tape edges or little things out here, like some of this stuff, I'll clear it and I'll go back and I'll fix any of those things after the fact and then clear it one last time. So I do what's called pre-clear and then a final clear.
Are there matte clears? This is my question. Are there matte, like different types of clears, like gloss, semi-gloss, matte?
Yes. So you have the gloss clear, which is, you know, like this.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we have, I want to grab one of the pieces. This is a matte clear. So the matte clear has no shine to it. And this is a satin, which, you know, kind of has a little shine, but it's dull.
So it's like a semi-gloss one?
Yeah, so semi-gloss. And then the final clear will be, you know, final clear will be shiny, shiny. Yep. So different clears. Here's a good example of gloss and flat next to each other. So you can see how this one has the reflection, and this one has no reflection, it's just flat.
Kale Kearns. So first layer of clear is that applied without sanding, and then you come in with the 600 gray on the second layer of clear?
No, so what it is it's done by rounds. So there's coats of clear. So my first session of clear, I'll put 3 to 4 coats on this. I'll do 2 medium wet coats at the beginning to lock everything in. then 2 more wet coats to build thick. That'll cure the next day. So it'll get hard. So that's 4 coats of clear in the session. Then the next day, once it's hardened up, I'll sit that with 600, sand it down flat to get rid of any ripples and edges. And I usually let that sit for the day just to outgas anything so that any tail solvents can evacuate out. It's not necessary, but I like to do that just so that way any contaminants or anything that goes wrong can come out, and then I'll do any touch-ups, and then I'll do a final clear coat session where I'll put 2 coats of clear to 3 coats of clear, let that sit to the next day, and then I'll wet sand and polish that. That's the process. For some artwork, if there's no edge to it, I'll do 1 session of clear with 4 coats or so, and then buff it the next day if it doesn't take a lot. But most jobs, I usually clear 2 sessions. And I mainly do it for a few reasons. A, it's going to be a better protected finish. Any type of shrinkage that might happen with the clear, or not even with the clear, sometimes it's all these base coat layers, you know, shrinking and moving around and kind of, you know, doing their thing. I like to let that happen, you know, first couple days, and then I'll do a final clear at the end. And these I'm just going to pick away at it. And clear this up. You know, and I think what I might do is I might actually put in the first coat of clear, I might put a little silver Metajewel flake on top of it, just so it has a bigger hit of metallic. And I think that, my friends, is going to be the last thing I do in 2019 for a completed project.
No, Karen said thank you. That was a good explanation.
Good. If you got any questions, man, if anything, you know, doesn't make sense, just give me a message. I usually get back.
That guy was on YouTube.
I usually get back to anyone within a day. You can leave something in the comments or message me at scott@ThinAirGraFx.com or check out my Facebook page. So this is actually the first YouTube live I've ever done through my page. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these. So anyone on my Facebook pages, definitely get over to the ThinAirGraFx YouTube channel and sign up.
The links are pinned for the YouTube channel.
Yep.
So all links are pinned.
And that's my daughter there taking care of all the links for me.
Pin them at the beginning of the stream.
And don't forget, there's plenty of how-to videos. The chain video is still available on my YouTube channel, the Black Widow Spider Project. And those videos are about 2 hours total each, and they're free videos to watch. And if you want to buy the files and actually do the project yourself, they're really affordable. And those are on my McKay Fine Art page. We have all the prints and stickers and my DVDs and everything else on there. And just keep picking away. So yeah, that's about it, guys. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to clear this piece.
Yeah, there's no more questions or anything.
No more questions?
No more
Okay,
questions.
good. I'm just going to sign this.
Ian Hart said Happy New Year to you and your family. Have a good one.
Happy New Year to you guys as well. Thank you very much. Hope everyone has a happy and safe New Year.
Are you using a black pot?
Don't do anything too crazy.
Are you using a black pot? Posca?
Yep. Oh yeah, I sign a lot of times with Posca markers because they're water-based paint markers, and you can clear over them, and they don't bleed, they don't run. They have all different sizes, so I use these a lot. These are outstanding. And that is it, guys. So everyone have a happy New Year tomorrow night. Thanks for checking it out. Check it again, subscribe to my pages, and we will see you all soon.